there's just no way you can classify a $700 million deal as team friendly. But I think what we're seeing, and this is what I want to talk more about, I think what we're seeing is a little bit of a better understanding as these bigger and bigger contracts come out, a little bit of a better understanding of just how much money these teams are bringing in. Specifically, the big teams, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Yankees, probably the Cubs to probably a little bit of a lesser extent. But you see these huge market teams and just how much, like if they're able to give away this, I think when we originally saw like $200 million deals, like when I remember when I was playing for the Sox, David Price signed for like $250 or something like that, and people were mind blown, right? It couldn't imagine that. Now that we're getting, $400, $500, $700 million deals, I think people are starting to kind of be like, wait a minute, okay. Well, you can give away your team supposedly is only worth $2 billion. How are you giving away $700 million? And then you dive into, okay, well, it's $700 million over 20 years. Okay, so they're not just giving that all away immediately. And then as we will do here, we will go into the segment by the numbers, which Sean and I again have a lot of similar notes. We have some different notes, which I'm going to have Sean go over some of the stuff that we have that's different. But what I found interesting about this was that we had a lot of people, a lot of reputable people, talk about this deal, and even they were getting it wrong. Like they certain things that were coming out about, for example, the AAV, where you're talking about how much the team is paying their salary per year, and are they going above that? And you have in Sean's notes competitive balance tax in all caps, which I believe is a link. But you have that where they hit that threshold. Did they not hit that threshold? All that stuff. It's only being $2 million towards the competitive balance tax, but is it? It turns out it's not. So there's just so much to go over here in the by the numbers segment, and then what probably could go on forever. We'll have a conversation quickly about the deal in general, what it looks like for baseball in general. I saw an A-Rod clip. We got a lot to talk about. So let's just quickly go over by the numbers, and then we'll dive right into, debating exactly what this kind of deal means and so on and so forth. So as you guys heard, it's a 10-year, $700 million deal. The first 10 years, he gets paid $2 million per year. The next 10 years, he gets paid $68 million per year. That's the first rabbit hole. We go on a lot more. So looking at that, you're like, oh, wow. He might be done in 10 years. That's going to be great 10 years after. Just get paid $68 million. Well, hold on now. So now again, let's just go to the numbers. I'm not going to put any opinion or conjecture. Let's just go by the numbers. MLB, Major League Baseball, for your AAV folks, are treating this as a 10-year, $460 million deal. So they're not treating it as a 10-year $700. They're not treating it as a 10-year $20 million for the $2 million per year. It's a $460 million deal. With that being said, the reason that is how that's calculated. Sorry, is that in year 3, $44 million a year from the Dodgers have to be put into what I saw was an escrow account. I don't know if they can do different investment vehicles, but an escrow account, and it would make some interest over. It's got to be interest bearing, and over the years it would make a certain amount of money, obviously, and we eventually get to that $68 million in year 11 when he has to get paid that. But
when do they have to get it in the escrow?
Year 3. So the first 2 years they have a little bit of they have some benefit from the team perspective.
Because I saw on my research there was a stat that said, let's see if I can find it. It was the deferred money must be fully funded 2 years within 2 years of the year it was deferred. So if $68 million deferred in 2024, it has to be in, I'm assuming, that escrow account by 2026. So, and you're saying how much has to be in the escrow at that time?
$44 million is what they're saying is the cash.
44?
Yes, because what they're saying is that
interest will
4% and
the
change
two?
or so, which I assume is what an escrow about makes.
Interesting.
That in the 8 years, 9 years, I think it was 10 years actually, that 44 turns into 68.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, it's such a tactical decision there because they still have to pay us. There's the money's still coming out of the pocket.
100%. So again, a lot of people talked about how, oh wow, this guy's doing such a great deal for the Dodgers for $2 million for 10 years.
This isn't Klarna buy now pay later situation.
No. And I knew, so I'd always seen that. And again, we'll talk about that. But so present day value, which again we'll talk more aggressively about, but just to go over present day value is about $405 million. Now, the gentleman that I got that $405 million number from, actually, I will source him just to be safe. Not to be safe, but just to give some people some credit. It was a guy by the name of Paul Mangione. And Paul, if you look at the tweet, put in a spreadsheet to show his calculations. I can promise you, I can pretty much promise you that none of you want to go try to read that spreadsheet. I was in bed last night scrolling, and doing some research, and I was trying to read this spreadsheet. I have a basic understanding, but it is a very difficult thing to understand. So, very difficult. But we're taking his word at it's $405 million. Now, the reason that works, again, present day value is when he finally gets paid out, what does that money look like? $700 million. It's like the old lottery. If you take the full boat right now at $700 million, you get $700 million in today's dollars. If you get paid out over time, let's say you get 350 now and 350 in 2025 and 2035, that 350 can't buy you what it could buy you now. So, although it's a $700 million contract, because so much is deferred, by the time Shohei receives that money, it's far less valuable than when it is currently. So that is to be taken into consideration. It's not from that stat alone would make you feel like Shohei's getting fucked. There's more to this.
It's still like $100 million over when you look at it at 460. Like the next highest one, Aaron Judge at 330, or Trout was the next highest one in the 300s.
Next highest, yeah. But and even so, listen, he's still making a ton of money, and that's the crux of this. But there's more to be considered here. There's more. Shohei's not a stupid man. Or at least his agents are. I don't know. Whoever's pressuring this it's not stupid. There was one little bit interesting factoid that I thought was interesting, that there is no interest on this deal. Now, what I found out from some Googling is that Bobby Bonilla has about an 8% interest on his deal. So when they put that $44 million, instead of them putting in an escrow, they have to make, let's say, 4.5, because that's the standard. Let's say, for example, I'm just speculating. The Dodgers, if that $44 million at 4.5 ends up turning into $80 million instead of $68, the Dodgers get to keep the vig. They get to keep that additional $12 million. That's not. But seemingly Bobby Bonilla did 8%. Was able to negotiate that, so now he's making 8% on that money instead of the original whatever. So there is some factoring in inflation and stuff like that from the Bonilla deal, seemingly less so here with the Shohei deal, which with this kind of money, I can understand both sides and their opinions on why they should or should not do it, but certainly I'm surprised there's no interest in this. Let's see, what else we got here. Tax law. A lot of people talking about how it can. There's a lot of different opinions on this, whether it can or cannot be taxed in the state of California. According to some research, I try to do the best I can. The best I found was the deferred compensation payments over, if it's a period of 10 or more years, which it is, obviously, you'll be taxed in the state you reside in rather than the state you earned the money in. So he theoretically, based off this piece of tax law, he theoretically could move to a state with
Florida.
no income tax and save a ton of money there. So that might be an additional reason why maybe he didn't get interest on the thing. Maybe that was a give and take for the Dodgers. Hey, listen, no interest, but we'll do it over 10 years so that you can move to Florida and not pay taxes. We'll come out even, or you'll come out ahead. It's just the IRS getting screwed instead of the Dodgers. I could see that conversation happening.
That for sure was at least thought of on the